Hi, everyone. Harry here to talk about the Department of Justice and Trump administration's serious hardball with respect to immigration enforcement. And in particular, a memo sent out by the acting Deputy Attorney General to all the 93 U.S. Attorney Fields offices, directing them to investigate for possible prosecution states and localities who, according to this memo, impede the enforcement of immigration laws. So a step back, what's going on here? We know that the Trump administration is preparing roundups of illegal aliens, supposedly ones coming in Chicago. It's going to be like an indelible, gross image that I think is gonna, there'll be, pictures and other things that will immediately sort of go worldwide and really drive home what to many people, including this country, just seems completely hard-hearted and un-American. But that's a little bit to the side. We can talk separately about what the federal government intends to do and whether it's lawful. But in response, ever since the election, a lot of states and localities, including California, so some pretty big players, have indicated that they're not going to just roll over and let the new feds come in and, presumably with force and batons, and actually round up and put in detention centers illegal aliens or people who can't show they're not. The order is very broad. This order from the Department of Justice, or memo, follows on from it, and it first starts with taking sides in a kind of perennial back and forth between administrations as to whether prosecutors have to charge what the department calls the most readily provable offense, or the highest. In other words, back and forth, but Republican administrations have typically said, look at the facts, and if it's individual prosecutors aren't supposed to go light or exercise their own discretion. Whatever is the most serious, readily provable offense, that is the one that qualifies under the principles of federal prosecution, which require that you're likely to get a conviction and that the person's really done it. But among different charges you can bring in individual cases, you are now ordered by this memo. That's not a new thing in the history of the DOJ, but as I say, it goes back and forth to do the most readily provable offense. That comes in here because it is dubious at best that a state or local effort to shield or help or provide some kind of support for immigrants, including illegal immigrants, constitutes an actual criminal impediment to federal prosecution. So you've got shelters, or you provide counsel, you provide lawyers, or you provide food and support, or you refuse to turn over immigrants when they're ordered, or when the feds say we're coming in there, maybe supported, given Trump's order. This is a matter for another day, but Trump has declared an emergency based on the influx of aliens at the southern border, and that influx is at its lowest in 4 years, so it's a total Trump lie. But that would permit him to also engage state, if it's upheld, state National Guard forces. So anyway, when they come in, they say, give us your illegal aliens, and states say no, or make us, or go find them, or we're not going to help you, and do things, in fact, to shield them. This really has the flavor, I just got to say it, of the kind of ferreting out of enemies of the state in the Nazi regime. But if local officials resist in those ways, the suggestion here from the acting Deputy Attorney General is that department attorneys are supposed to look very hard to try to charge them with crimes. Now, there are a couple crimes on the books, but they are really for active physical interference with law enforcement. You know, if the feds are coming through and a whole bunch of people lie down on the sidewalk, they could be charged with a crime. The crimes that are referenced in this memo from the DOJ, I think, really bring home how far-fetched and weak the idea is, unless they can somehow, get the courts to recognize a new principle of law. But they are focused on the requirement. There is a requirement that immigrants have to be fingerprinted if ordered by the federal government. And they are suggesting that because there's another statute that says you can't, immigrants can't resist. So you can imagine that you could try to go after state or local officials for aiding and abetting the resistance to the requirement for fingerprinting, which under the books is something, misdemeanor for $100 fine or whatever. It's not a serious crime, but it's in there. And so the idea is that the U.S. Attorney's Office in the Northern District of California is going to investigate and go after the city of San Francisco under this misdemeanor federal law and try to either charge officials personally or try to bring charges against the city. Pretty weak charges, unprecedented charges that really have never been brought for the kinds of shelter and succor that state and local officials do here, and that really just express their own different approach to immigration or whatever. So this is serious hardball, and you can see that the administration through individual U.S. attorneys' offices is going to try to make at least some states and localities pay for having any kind of sanctuary status or otherwise resisting, doing anything other than lying down and saying, come ahead and take them. It's already ugly, so it's going to compound and make the ugliness of going after the immigrants compounded by going after the states and localities, apt to be hugely unpopular, but mainly in blue states where Trump is indifferent. So much has happened this week, but this is one that is really shaping up to be indelible and hideous. Talk to you later. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.